Have you ever, like, wondered what art would look like if it, tried to really grapple with our relationship with technology? Like, what if instead of landscapes or portraits, we had, like, these fragments of thought, these feelings, anxieties, all jumbled up about the digital age?
It's definitely not your typical art, that's for sure.
That's what we're diving into today with ONIDs.
Right. It's ONID calls these pieces stones. They're these raw, almost cryptic bits of text, and this is actually a whole collection of them, 1,000 to be exact.
1,000.
1,000, all grappling with this question of like what it even means to be human when the world is, well, changing so rapidly because of technology.
Okay, we're definitely going to need a guide for this one. Thankfully, we've got excerpts focusing on the social and political side of things.
Yeah.
Which is right up your alley, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and even the annotation for kind of hints at the wild ride we're in for. It describes it as a journey through time and reality. Exploring this, it says, chaotic intersection of human evolution and societal shifts and individual struggle.
Okay, buckle up, everybody, because we're about to explore some seriously thought-provoking stuff. But instead of getting lost in the, theoretical weeds, let's jump right into the stones themselves.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think that's where ONID's message really comes alive. What do you say we start with diva?
Yeah.
It translates to love leads us through life and time.
Yeah, that's a perfect place to start. I mean, this stone, it immediately sets a different tone, I think, than some of the others. It's almost mystical, wouldn't you say? Like an ancient proverb, but with this like very modern twist.
Right. It's like stepping into a different world for a moment. Okay, so it says, love leads us through life and time. It pulls us with the gradient of entropy towards each other. Heals us, teaches us or not.
Okay, confession time, gradient of entropy. I think I missed that day in physics class.
Don't worry, it's a head scratcher for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, entropy basically means things naturally tend towards disorder. Like, how a messy room gets messier if you don't tidy up. But here, ONID is suggesting that love works against that entropy. It pulls people together, creates connection, creates meaning in the midst of all the chaos.
It's like love is this force for order in a universe that's always trying to, like, unravel.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes the stone even more powerful. But get ready for a tonal shift because the next one hits completely differently. It's called...
Ah, yes, this one translates to, the diver Keene wrote, for he screams, took away, for he is silent. Notice how that last line repeats.
Yeah.
It creates this really chilling effect, don't you think?
It's like a record skipping at a crucial moment or someone trying to shout, but there's this silencing force. It's definitely unnerving. What do you make of that image of the silenced diver?
To me, I think it speaks to censorship, especially in our digital age, right? Where platforms can just like amplify or silence voices with like alarming ease. It's like that phrase, signal to noise,
Right.
How do we even distinguish valuable voices from just all the noise? And this stone is suggesting that sometimes the most important messages are the ones that are being deliberately drowned out. And that repetition, that took away, for he is silent, just emphasizes that struggle against being silenced. It almost feels personal,
Yeah.
Like we as readers are being asked to pay attention, to really listen for those silenced voices. And if that stone felt like a whisper, this next one is a scream.
Oh, what is it this?
Which means time is closed within a frame.
This one hits hard.
It does.
It goes on to say, and I quote, that time is buried, hidden, covered with folders, not the time for time to be opened. Within the frame, time screams. It lies bound with a belt tied at the bottom of timelessness. It's like claustrophobic, almost like being trapped in a cycle you can't escape.
It reminds me of that feeling of being like bombarded with notifications, deadlines, emails. Like we're drowning in information, but we're starving for actual time.
Yeah. Yes. That feeling of being constantly switched on, plugged in, but never truly present. I think ONID captures that perfectly with this idea of time that's both closed within a frame and at the bottom of timelessness. It's like we're stuck in this digital hamster wheel, constantly running but going nowhere fast.
And just when you think it can't get any bleaker, ONID throws this at us. Oh views, oh visitors, oh likes, oh comments. It's like the punchline to a dark joke about our digital obsession.
Right, and yet it's a joke we all participate in. I mean, it forces us to confront this question. Are we living for, genuine connection?
Yeah.
Or are we chasing the empty validation of likes and comments?
Yeah, and it's so easy to get, caught up in that cycle.
Yeah.
Refreshing those stats, craving that little, dopamine hit of approval. But this stone, It's like Oside is holding up a mirror and saying, is this really what you want?
Right. It's a powerful reminder that true fulfillment, it rarely comes from like just external validation. It's about, I think, finding meaning in the messiness of, well, of just human experience, not this curated perfection of the digital world.
Which, speaking of messy, brings us to our final stone for this section.
Yeah.
Or, a body has been received. I'll be honest, this one took me a few reads.
Yeah.
It's got this darkly humorous, almost like Kafkaesque vibe to it.
It's definitely a wild ride. It starts with this, like, very matter-of-fact statement. A body has been received, but then it takes this absurd turn. The body's business stirred, awakened, and consequently the investigator. The investigator examined the body. The whole body had decayed, flew out the window, spun around, cracked, scattered. The body spread across the step, and gradually the body reassembled, as nous voilà, reported the pathologist.
Okay, so we've got bureaucracy, decay, a flying, disintegrating body.
Yeah.
And then it all gets put back together like nothing happened.
It's strained.
It's both hilarious and horrifying at the same time.
Totally. It's like, Child is, I think, pointing out the absurdity of systems that treat individuals as just another case file. You know, the body becomes this fragmented, almost meaningless thing, and the voila at the end. It's like the pathologist is just shrugging it off like it's all part of some mundane routine.
It's like even in death, you're not really free from the system.
Yeah.
There's this sense of being trapped, dehumanized. It's a lot to take in, which is why I'm actually grateful for these text fragments scattered throughout. They're like these little breaths of air, you know?
Yeah.
Moments of reflection amidst the chaos of the stones.
They're essential, actually, because while the stones offer these, like, visceral snapshots, the fragments help us zoom out a little.
Okay.
Connect the dots, see the bigger picture. For example, remember that phrase signal to noise we talked about earlier with the silenced diver?
Absolutely, yeah. It felt super relevant to our online world.
Well, one of the fragments specifically mentions signal to noise in risk management of social structures. It's suggesting that this struggle to be heard, to make sense of all this information, it's not just personal. You know, it's woven into the fabric of society itself.
It's like that feeling of information overload. It's no accident.
Right.
It's almost like a feature, not a bug.
Right.
Okay, so how did the other fragments fit into all of this? There's one that mentions chronotope, which just sounds like something straight out of Star Trek.
It does, doesn't it? But it's actually a literary term. It basically means the way time and space are intertwined in a story. And it feels like ONID is like really playing with our perception of both.
Okay.
Like in that fragment about seeing through time.
Right. That one really threw me for a loop. It talks about containment's bridged, blindness kills, and this path through entropy of death. It's intense.
It is. And it gets to the heart, I think, of what ONID is exploring. This relationship between technology, consciousness, and our understanding of time itself.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing through time. I mean, it could mean a few things here, right?
Right.
It could be about the way technology, like, collapses time.
Yeah.
Connecting us across continents, time zones. But it could also hint at something, like, deeper. Maybe the potential for expanded awareness, for recognizing the interconnectedness of, like, past, present, and future.
So, like, we're not just living in the moment, but rather existing within this vast web of cause and effect that stretches through time.
Exactly.
And containment's bridged. Does that mean we're breaking free from old ways of thinking? Or maybe breaking down barriers that, like, should remain in place?
That's the question ONID wants us to ask. Because with this expanded awareness, this seeing through time, it comes with responsibility.
Yeah.
We have to choose what we do with that knowledge, how we navigate those complexities.
Yeah.
And the fragment warns us that blindness kills, meaning clinging to, like, those old ways of seeing the world, ignoring the bigger picture. It could have really, like, dire consequences.
So maybe this seeing through time, it's both a gift and a burden. It gives us this expanded perspective, but also forces us to confront these, like, uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly. And amidst all this talk of chronotope and seeing through time, there's another recurring image that I find particularly striking, the gate or the doorway.
It's like that moment in a movie where the hero is standing at the entrance to some, like, you know, hidden temple.
Yeah.
Or maybe a portal to another dimension.
Right.
You know, they're about to cross over into the unknown, and there's just, like, no turning back.
That's the feeling I get from these fragments. One in particular really stands out. It says, a perception of continuity for energy optimization, bright, routine happiness is only a perception, a chase, which roughly translates to and tomorrow, the gate.
Tomorrow, the gate.
Yeah.
It's both simple and incredibly ominous.
Yeah.
What do you think lies beyond that gate for ОНID?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think rather than giving us like a concrete answer, I think ОНID really wants us to just sit with that uncertainty.
Yeah.
That feeling of standing on the precipice of something vast and unknown.
Right.
Is it a technological singularity?
Mm.
A spiritual awakening? Or maybe it's something we haven't even imagined yet.
Kind of terrifying, but also exhilarating at the same time.
Yeah.
Like we're being called to like step into the unknown, even if we're not sure what, awaits us on the other side.
And I think that's what makes ONID's work so compelling. It's not just about dystopia or utopia, right?
Wow.
It's about the messy, complex reality of like what it means to be human in this time of just like unprecedented change. Remember that stone about the diver? It's almost like ONID saying we're all diving into this unknown future together. Some of us are shouting, some of us are being silenced, but we're all in this uncharted territory.
And those fragments about like seeing through time, those are like tools for like navigating that uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Right? They're giving us these glimpses of a bigger picture, a deeper understanding of the forces at play. But it's not going to be easy, is it? I mean, there are those other fragments, those darker ones, that suggest there will be resistance to this, like transformation.
Oh, absolutely. Change is never easy, especially when it challenges these deeply ingrained systems of power. One fragment that always sends chills down my spine says, Sinokurium unokukuri, meaning the head flew off headlong, the heads trembled all at once, they gave birth to heads. It suggests that those in control, they're going to fight like tooth and nail to maintain their grip.
And that other fragment where it says, people spoke, and inflated creativity, work, soul, time, but stretching out in time, they found themselves right where they were afraid to find themselves. Like, even if we manage to break free from those old systems, even if we achieve some level of, like, progress,
right,
there's still a chance we'll end up right back where we started.
Yeah.
Trapped by our own fears and limitations.
It's a sobering thought, but I don't think it's meant to, like, discourage us, I think it's a call to be honest with ourselves, to acknowledge the shadows that might be holding us back, even as we strive for something better.
So where does this leave us? I mean, we've got these incredible stones, these like fragmented glimpses into the future, and these fragments that feel like clues to some grand puzzle. If ОНID is right, and we're on the verge of this massive transformation, what can we even do? How do we even begin to like prepare for what lies beyond that gate?
Man, if I had a simple answer to that, I'd bottle it and sell it.
Right.
But I think, ultimately it comes down to like awareness, intention, and courage. We have to be aware of the ways technology is like shaping our world, our thoughts, even our relationships. We have to be intentional about how we're using it, how we let it influence us. And we have to have the courage to ask those difficult questions, to confront those uncomfortable truths, to imagine different possibilities.
It's like that quote from Nin, we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. Maybe the first step toward like navigating this uncertain future is to understand ourselves.
Yeah, I love that.
To confront our own biases, our own fears, our own hopes.
Beautifully put. Because if we're going to step through that gate with any sense of like purpose, we need to know who we are and what we stand for.
So as we stand here on the edge of the unknown, confronted by these like fragments of thought, these anxieties, these possibilities, I think ONID leaves us with one final thought-provoking question. What will your stone say? What mark will you make on this digital landscape? What kind of future will you help create?